Welcome to the Bulldog Breakdown Missouri Week. Buck Belue with former Bulldog quarterback Hutson Mason. Let's talk about this big Florida win down in Jacksonville, Hut. The most unlikely hero, if you talk to the Georgia fan base, would have been James Coley prior to the game. After the game, even head coach Kirby Smart was complimenting the game plan and the execution of the plan that Coley had Saturday.
Yeah, I was watching actually a little bit of the tape this morning, the coach's copy, and the thing that I noticed, Buck, is that Coley did a really good job of like formationally moving guys around where they traditionally weren't, especially in third and long. A couple times they took Cager, who is usually lined up outside, and they moved him to the slot. Sometimes they took like 1 3rd and 11, where Fromm threw that outside breaking route. I think it was the first drive to the sideline. It was like a 15-yard out route. They lined them up in a stacked formation, which doesn't allow Florida's DBs to press you, and it gives them that free release. Those are some of the small things that I think Coley did a really good job of that the average fan may not notice. We talked about could Florida's DBs or could Georgia's receivers get off press man? Well, pre-snap alignment, kind of displacing receivers was kind of a theme on third down, and that's a small thing that a lot of people don't notice, but to the quarterback and to the receivers, it helps them out tremendously. So, and then, Fromm throws an absolute beautiful ball, 15-yard out route to the sideline, but it's the small things like allowing your receivers to get off clean off the line of scrimmage that I think help them out a lot on third down.
Yeah, that's a big point. Formations, able to move the personnel around. I liked a couple of things in particular. One was I saw more man-friendly routes out of this Georgia receiving corps, running away from defenders. Not as easy to guard, crossing routes, rub routes. I think you saw a few of those, which certainly helped the offense, too. I really love the fact, too, they targeted the running backs against man formation. Swift with a couple of plays there. One, I think, called back, and you had Harrion caught a number of balls out of the backfield. Big plays in the grand scheme of things, some of those on third down. So man-friendly routes, getting the running back involved in the passing game, all thumbs up to James Coley on that one. Let's talk about a couple of the big plays in the game. How about the Blaylock touchdown, which gave Georgia, I believe, a 10-0 lead at the time, where we saw a pick, a rub, whatever term you want to use, something we have not seen early in the season.
Yeah, if you're going to play man coverage, and we see this so much out of teams across college football, the pick rub, whatever you want to call it, it's just a get-in-the-way route. It's kind of like basketball where one receiver, in this case Blaylock, or no, it was, I'm trying to think, the outside receiver just ran in at Blaylock's guy and just got in the way, and Blaylock kind of ran an arrow route, and it's, if you're going to play man coverage, we're going to force you to fight through these picks and everybody's running it all the way from the college to the pro, and I like it as long as you don't do it illegally. And it was just another great play design. They knew they were going to catch Florida in man, and we've seen it happen so much across college football. Fromm just catches it, and it's a one-man route, but in man coverage, you're going to ask a guy to fight through a pick and get over the top in the matter of a split second. It's almost impossible to defend.
Yeah, almost like basketball, where you see a pick, and then the defender not able to maintain the man coverage. Let's talk about the other one, the play that really put the game away for Georgia late, where they had given Fromm a clean pocket most of the day. And because of that, Coley knew that they could throw some routes down the field. This route, they hit Cager on the 52-yard touchdown catch and run, a beautiful design. Fromm is a late developing play, asking the receiver to go from one side of the field over to the other side, and really ran a wheel route once he got there.
Yeah, they lined him up on the right, and it was kind of like a wide delay where he acts like he's blocking. He runs flat down the line of scrimmage, and you tell him to get lost, like get lost in the muddle and the jumble of everything. And it's really a play that you want to call versus zone, because if it's man, there's somebody going to be running and responsible for him. So Coley knew he had to call it on first down because Florida was going to be in zone.
Looked like a coverage bust to me.
Yeah, well, and that's the point of it. You teach that wide receiver, get in there and just get lost, because the eyes of the guys on the defense are looking at the fake. They're looking at, and so he gets lost, and then he stays in there, be patient for 5 or 6 seconds, and just wheel up the sideline. It's a great design, and it's great, but it's called at the perfect time, and that's where you got to give credit to Coley, because I think a lot of coordinators, Buck, have these plays Monday through Friday on this call sheet, and they're like, we're going to call this and we're going to call this. And then they get to the game and it never comes out of their mouth. So it's one thing to have it on your sheet, but it's another thing to call it. So that's what I thought was fascinating by Coley.
Yeah, and we had also Fromm going tempo in the game, too. Keeping that Florida defense on the field already thin, wearing them down a little bit. I think Kirby also impressed with the number of inside power runs that Coley continued to call. Even though
really
most fans don't understand what's going on, Kirby's wanting him to chop wood. Allowing the fatigue or the effect of that paying off later in the game.
Yeah.
So they continued to hammer the run game, which made him happy. Cager, the X factor in the game, held up physically, which was a great thing to see. Made a ton of big plays. He's our best receiver and Fromm's go-to guy.
Yeah, and it's good to get him back. You got to have him healthy. I think we've all seen the difference between this passing attack with him and without him. So, going on to play Alabama, LSU, hopefully he is a big difference maker. And then the yards after the catch. I mean, you saw a couple third downs, 5-yard catch, he turns into a 15-yard gain. That's kind of that uncoachable trait that he has.
All right, we'll come back on the other side. We'll talk about this elite Georgia defense that hunkered down in Jacksonville for most of the game. Take a look ahead to Missouri. Next on the Bulldog Breakdown. Be a part of radio history here in Atlanta by securing the 680 The Fan 25th Anniversary Retro T-shirt, like Hutson Mason and I are wearing right now.
Great thing is all proceeds will go to a great cause. Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, all the great folks over there will benefit from it. You can get your shirt and hat, trucker hat. That's always great for the summertime. 680thefan.com/retrobuck. People may get that confused with Metro because we're going to look so good in it.
Don't fool around. Do it now and be looking good. Buck Belue, Hutson Mason, Bulldog Breakdown. Let's look ahead to Saturday. Missouri showing up. Kirby asking his team and the fan base to back the emotional, enthusiastic win over the Gators. Back that up another weekend here with Missouri coming in. He describes them as a tough football team. We'll get to that in a second. Let's talk about this Bulldog defense. Showed up big down in Jacksonville, held the Gators to 3 points through the first 3 quarters.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and they got 2 sacks. We talked about the pressure on the quarterback. I mean, Malik Herring, big boy Jordan Davis inside. Those guys did really in the secondary. I mean, these 4 receivers plus Kyle Pitts were the best skill position players collectively that Georgia's secondary had seen, and they rose to the challenge. And I think this defense is for real, one of the best in the country. And when you can get pressure with 4 down, that allows you to play coverage. And I mean, what can you say? Teams are going to make their plays, but to hold a team that's one of the best offenses in the country to 17 points, I mean, this defense is as advertised. Yeah, I really love the job that LeCount, the Georgia safety, did on Kyle Pitts, the All-American type tight end that the Gators were really featuring in the game. They hit him a couple times early. First possession, Pitts hitting our defense pretty hard, but from that point on, and I believe that possession ended with LeCount with a pass defended on Pitts to end. It was the 4th and 1 play. Yeah, it was.
That ended that first possession, which was huge. And then LeCount really holding up in coverage the rest of the game on Pitts, which I thought was a big factor in the game. They shut down the Gator run game. I thought Mullen was smart enough to continue to run the football. That's what we've always heard about him. He didn't even try, especially on 3rd down in these short yardage situations. They were going empty backfield, quarterback in the shotgun.
Well, the thing is, when you get up 16-3, you got to throw the ball, right? I mean, and so that's a good thing about getting an early lead and getting a big lead if you're Georgia is you take away one element of a team's offense and you make them become one-dimensional. And I know that one dimension is really what Florida was really good at. They were more of a throwing team than running team, but they held Florida's rushing attack to what, 21, 27, 28 yards? Averaging,
nothing.
Well, yeah, 1.3 yards an attempt. I mean, that's elite level defense right there, and only 278 total yards of offense.
Yeah, this game was decided on 3rd down. Coley's plan was outstanding. What was Georgia, 12 of 18 on 3rd down?
12 of 18, and 6 of them came from 3rd and long.
Gators 2 of 9. So defensively, Georgia's 3rd down defense was excellent.
Yep.
All right, Missouri, what do you expect?
Well, I think this is, if you just look on paper, and they've got some injuries this year, and I think that's one thing that Georgia has been able to avoid. It's helped them tremendously, is the injury bug, knock on wood. But, obviously they've got a good quarterback in Kelly Bryant. He can beat you anytime, anywhere. We know, even though he got beat out at Clemson, he is one of the better quarterbacks in college football. They've got one of the best, if not the best tight end in college football, Albert O. Everybody's talking about he had a chance to come out last year, Buck, as an underclassman and be one of the top tight ends.
A lot of good tight ends in that group last year.
They struggle, though, on the line of scrimmage, and I think ultimately that's where Georgia will have the huge advantage.
Yeah, and I don't believe Missouri does a very good job with their pass rush. Another opportunity for Georgia in this passing game to take another positive step forward, throwing the ball around. They're going to need more than Cager come some of the bigger games later in the season. So you need to develop Pickens, Blaylock, keep coaching them up, keep encouraging them. I saw Kirby doing that on the sideline with Pickens.
Yeah.
This is good to see. Maybe a day where Georgia's passing game can take another step forward.
And the one thing that I know is kind of flying under the radar is there's a lot of teams in the second half of Georgia's schedule that have a bye week leading up to playing Georgia. Missouri this week, Auburn next week. So you hear Kirby talking about we gotta get back focused on this week. It's because a lot of these teams that he's playing in the second half of the schedule have had 2 weeks to prepare for him.
Time to play your best football. Here's the schedule, turns to November. We're back next week with another Bulldog Breakdown.